To understand the man, you have to know what was happening in the world when he was 20. This quote is erroneously attributed to Napoleon. The likely origin is from an English historian named G.M. Young. However, I am roughly 20, so perhaps I can enlighten your understanding of me and my generation. Right now in the US, there are more people than there are jobs. The likelihood of me getting a job, much less a good job out of college, diminishes by the day. Not to mention, I'm pursuing a degree in computer science, so my career forecast is flipping burgers at McDonald's. I cannot afford groceries, I'll never own a house, and I have never had less free time than I do right now. So, on those rare fleeting occasions, I do have free time. I choose to escape. I want a medium that not only respects my time, but effectively immerses me into another world so that I can, to a greater degree, ignore that rejection email I got from Lucid 10 minutes ago. It's hard to think of a greater medium to that end than video games. And I think game developers know that. There is no shortage of competition in the video game industry, so any given game has the arduous task of not only convincing you to buy it over someone else's game, but maintaining your attention span beyond the 2-hour refund limit on Steam. There are some indispensable tools in a dev's arsenal that can help accomplish this. The story, the graphics, gameplay, music, even something as simple as color. Color does a fabulous job of supporting and enhancing every aspect of a game. Color can tell stories just by itself. Good graphics are moot without color, and your perception and decisions can be guided by the proper use of color by a game dev. Most importantly, color communicates in a language that is not only fast and efficient, but can completely sell the illusion of immersion. Color can just as easily break immersion. I think the infamous yellow paint problem speaks for itself, but I don't really have any interest in talking about that. Not today. That being said, color is an extremely powerful language. It can communicate to the player what a game is all about before even playing it. Consider the sickly green yellowish glow of these horror titles, or the bright orange in action titles, or even how Red Dead Redemption uses red because, well, humans are exceptional at pattern recognition, and almost all digital media forms take advantage of this. Some for your benefit, some to your detriment. We're also exceptional at association. The combination of patterns and associations create symbols, our most primitive and yet most powerful form of communication. Some symbols are so common and resonate so strongly with the human psyche, it is arguable that we are born with intrinsic understandings of symbols. Red here is the easiest example. I'm willing to bet your association with red is already so fleshed out and so strong you can already guess exactly what I'm going to say. Red, being the color of blood, represents vitality and mortality, health and danger. Red is used, more than any other color, to tell you immediately, this is a bad guy, this is how much health you have, you can get more health here. Green is a common color to represent health as well, likely from the association with vibrant plant life and growth, but seems to have a wholly positive connotation. That is to say, if I see another player with a green or even blue or white tag, I am betting they are friendly. For the most part. Blue and white, now that I mention it, are common symbols of peace and purity, among other things. On the flip side, any red tag you see is unequivocally an enemy. These are universal symbols because color is a universal language. Having essentially zero foreknowledge of how video games work, or common video game symbols, any new player can glance at the screen with very little trouble understand what is being communicated to them in a way that is intuitive and immersive. Color can also communicate things to a player beyond just interacting with an interface. It can be directly connected to the gameplay itself. I think of how effectively color is used in Portal 2. In fact, I think Portal 2 is the single best example of color-based communication in the entire industry.
Federal regulations require me to warn you that this next test chamber is looking pretty good.
From the beginning, you easily learn to differentiate between your two different portal openings by their color, one orange, one blue. You learn that white surfaces hold portals and black surfaces can't. Orange gel makes you go fast, blue gel makes you bounce. You can essentially think of every level in terms of their colors. Everything else is secondary.
Kill it! It's evil! It flew off. Good. For him. Alright, back to thinking.
There are many more great games that use similar systems of relating color to gameplay. Doom tints the screen when you have a specific power-up. Dishonored completely desaturates the color from the screen when you stop time. Madeline's hair changes color depending on how many dashes you have left. When you die, Red Dead Redemption writes dead in red. Color has the ability to relate narrative without relying solely on outright giving exposition to the player. When games use setting as the main tool for storytelling, it becomes a more rewarding and immersive experience for players. Your intelligence is not left feeling insulted. When I find a skeleton in Fallout and try to imagine how they died, I'm not even thinking about how Lucid has rejected me 2 years in a row now. Certain games do not allow you this powerful introspection and reflection, subverting your viewpoint and thoughts by forcing you to digest an overwhelming amount of force-fed dialogue.
Hang on, did you just shift reality?
Hollow Knight does an amazing job at this. Team Cherry know how to perfectly speak to the player without speaking to the player. Every section of the vast world has its own color signature. This is particularly apparent in Silksong. And reaching a new color space feels like an accomplishment without the game needing to get in your face about it. It is intrinsically rewarding and visually appealing. Your senses are stimulated by the new scenery, and your brain releases good-feeling neurochemicals, like a psychological pat on the back for finally escaping Sinner's Road. Many games know this and take advantage of this by trying to present new colors and new scenery to the player. Any Mario game is another great example, and a pretty consistent one too. The first world is almost always full of greens and blues. The last world is almost always red and black. Reaching a new milestone isn't the only time your psychology is at play either. Your mood and behavior are directly correlated with the persistence of a singular dominant color on screen. There is novel yet anecdotal evidence to support the idea that the use of blue streetlights over red streetlights reduce crime and suicide rates. Which is unfortunate, because I find cool lighting to be retina-meltingly ugly and warm lighting to be much more calming. The streetlight claim is technically unproven, but there does exist reputable scientific evidence that color does incline the behavior of the general population one way or another. There isn't an exact formula to go about it, but game designers will use color palettes to encourage a player into a specific playstyle. Dark muted colors for trepidation, bright warm colors for aggression, and soothing cool colors for reflection and strategy. Color proves itself to be one of the strongest tools in gaming and in real life too. It is a quick, efficient, and immersive communicator. It helps establish strong, emotionally bound patterns and symbols. It fleshes out worlds, establishes fictional and real cultural identities alike, and lends itself to the feeling of accomplishment and progression. It goes so far as to nurture and incline the deepest parts of our subconscious to feel and act certain ways for certain situations. Like when Red Dead Redemption makes you feel red.